Good evening, we're coming to you live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo with tonight's edition of Prime Time News. A very good evening, I'm Mahina Bongzo.
My name is Ravi Gamagir. We start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
JVP criticizes the appointment of relatives of politicians to the Foreign Service. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Kehele Rambukwala says that proper protocols are adhered to when appointing officials to the Foreign Service. Court orders the arrest of several persons including an MP for obstructing the duties of the Badula Deputy Elections Commissioner.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Kehele Rambukwala says that proper protocols are adhered to when appointing officials to the Foreign Service. The minister made this remark at the Cabinet media briefing today.
Constitutionally, they are representatives of the President. They are appointed by him to represent the country. The individuals employed in the External Affairs Ministry have also been appointed in this manner. The constitutional power vested in the government is scrutinized by Parliament. The committee which examines it is known as the Committee on High Posts. The biodata of the individuals recommended are submitted to this committee. They are called for an interview and then a final decision is made. A report on every individual should be submitted to the High Post Committee. All their educational qualifications and experience needs to be assessed. The committee is vested with the responsibility of going through it.
Sri Lanka's foreign policy came under shelling in Parliament yesterday. Leader of the JVP parliamentarian Andra Kumar Dissanayake said that a majority of the appointments across the Foreign Service have been made based on political affiliations. Certain sectors of MP Andra Kumar Disanayake's speech have been removed from the Hansard, and Newsfirst received the footage with these statements edited out.
The President, through a Gazette notification, appointed the Minister of External Affairs, who is involved in the actual process. A separate force is handling the Ministry of External Affairs today. The Ministry of External Affairs is today facing one of the biggest administrative and political issues in the history of this nation. Today, the Foreign Service has transformed into a branch office of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Honorable Chairman, I have many documents to prove my claim. I will highlight them one by one. Who has been appointed as ambassadors? Sarat Kongage has been appointed ambassador to Germany. Who is he? He was a former chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. Nawalage Bennett Kure was a Sri Lanka Freedom Party organizer for the Kulanavar electorate. Today, he is serving as a Sri Lankan ambassador to Italy. She is serving as a Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Singapore. Gamini Rajapaksa was a former UNP MP from Kandy. Today, he is a Sri Lankan ambassador to Jordan. H.R. Piaseri was a UNP MP from Dikwala. He crossed over to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. And today, he is serving as the ambassador to Myanmar. What has happened to this country? Who is Buddhi Athauda? He is the son of Minister Athauda Selviratna. He is serving as the ambassador to the Netherlands. Who is Udayanga Veeratunga? He is the son of her mother's sister. He has been serving as the ambassador to Russia for 9 years. Jali Vikramasuriya is relative. He is serving as the ambassador to the United States of America. He was a tea trader. He was found guilty of financial fraud. What was the punishment that was imposed on him? Dixon Dalla. Who is he? He is a Sri Lankan High Commissioner to the Maldives. Now he is back at home. He is the father of the Basnaik Nilime of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. What is happening to this country? They are your close associates. ASP Lianage, involved in land sales, makes his daughter sing, and then he has been appointed as the ambassador to Nigeria. The post of ambassador has been handed over to an individual in land sales. What have you done to this country? What qualifications does he possess? Bharati Vijayaratna is the ambassador to Turkey. Who is she? She is the wife of one of your former deputy ministers, Mano Vijayaratna. She is serving as the ambassador to Turkey. Dr. Yvonne Amarasinghe is the ambassador to Vietnam. Who is this? His close associate. What has happened? Is this not a branch office of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in the Foreign Service? The list goes on. Srimal Vikramasinghe, deputy head in Vienna. He is her brother, Varna Appa Singhe. He is serving as a minister in Washington. He is the son of an advisor. Appa Singhe has been made a minister in Washington. Karunaratne Paranavithana. He contested from the Ratnapura district and lost. He was also the former chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. He has been appointed as a Consular General of Toronto. W.K.S. Dissanayake, First Secretary in Abu Dhabi. Who is he? His relative, Lalit Yugamage, a minister in Jakarta. Who is this? He is a person who contested under the SLFP ticket and lost. H.N.B. Ratnayake is the second secretary to the mission in Russia. He is a son of Minister C.B. Ratnayake. Lionel Premasiri, he is the Deputy General Secretary to Canada. He was a former SLP organizer for Gaul. Harshan Herath, Second Secretary to the Mission of Singapore. He is the son of Mahipala Herath, Chief Minister of the Sabaragama Province. Chamitri Ramukwala, Second Secretary to the Mission in New York, daughter of Minister Kelly Ramukwala. Muthupadma Kumara, Second Secretary to the Mission in London, daughter of the Chairman of Lake House. Dr. Kotian Vaidyaratna, a minister in London, and so's wife. J.M. Bandara, I am not going to mention who's who he is. J.M. Bandara is your brother. Where is he based at? Second Secretary to the Mission in Kuwait. Dixon J. Pereira, Consular General in Nepal. He is the former Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. M.I. Kudukewata, First Secretary to the Mission in Beijing. She is the daughter of the head of the Presidential Security Division. Ratna Ranavira, he is the Second Secretary to the Mission in Canberra, daughter of the Additional Secretary to the President. What has happened here? I have only one question. What is this foreign service? Like you are granting your sons with positions in provincial councils, you have provided positions such as consular, second secretary and others to your children. Aren't the children of this land considered as children? Are your children considered the only children of this country? Your children who fail to enter universities in this country, who fail to obtain a university degree in this country, who failed the foreign service examination, who failed to even enter the foreign service through the competitive examination, have been given access to the diplomatic service. Are they called the children of this nation? Are they the only ones? What have you done to the foreign service? You need to be ashamed of this foreign service. You need to have a policy. Look at what has happened to India. Honorable Chairman, the official website of the Ministry of Defence is drawing cartoons. You brought this country to disrepute. They are publishing love letters about the sentiments that Jayalalitha has on Prime Minister Modi. This was published on the official website of the Ministry of Defence. What are you doing to this country? You are bringing this country to disrepute. What happened in the end? You had to publish an apology to Prime Minister Modi and Jayalalitha on the website. Remember, it was not the website that apologized. It was our motherland. You made our motherland kneel. You need to be ashamed of your actions.
Who apologized? We did not apologize. We will not apologize. They need to apologize to us.
An unqualified apology had been extended over that cartoon.
Are they disappointed about it? No. This is what you call influence. Today you are enjoying freedom because a leader was born to this nation who will not surrender to those influences.
I am thankful to the Sirasa media for airing the speech of Subramaniam Swamy. Sometimes we are unable to send a message to the people with regard to government stances. We need to thank Sirasa for taking that step and airing it. If you listen to the complete speech made by Subramaniam Swamy, you will realize that there is a message in that.
යම්කිසි හරයක් තිබෙන තර්ක කීපයක් ඉදිරිපත් වුණා. ඒ වගේම මඩ ප්‍රහාර රාශියක්.
Some points were made. In addition, mud was also slinged. That is natural. We need to expect it. I can say without any fear that I will head to the villages to make the people aware of our foreign policy. I have done it in the past. I will do it today and I will do this tomorrow. And I need not be saddened by it.
අපේ ජනතාවට පහදා දීම සඳහා මං ගම් දනව් වලට යනවා. ඒක කිසිම වරදක් නැහැ.
The Mahiyangane Magistrates Court has issued an order to arrest UPFA parliamentarian Thenuka Vidanagamage for violating election laws. The magistrate also ordered the police to arrest Uva Provincial Council candidate Anura Vidanagamage and several others and produce them in court before the 26th of this month. The order was made after the police made submissions on an incident relating to several charges, including the obstructions caused to election officials to carry out their duties.
A group of persons, including UPFA candidate for the Uva polls Anurvidana Gamage, had travelled in a motorcade subsequent to handing in their nominations. At that time, officers including the Deputy Election Commissioner of Badulla attempted to enforce election laws. Later, the Deputy Election Commissioner had filed a complaint with the police, citing that the candidate and his associates had obstructed them from enforcing election laws. Thereby, the police reported facts to court against Anurvidana Gamage, Thenuka Vidanagamage on charges of violation of election laws, attempted murder, obstructing of election duties and theft.
This is a serious issue. At previous elections, we witnessed how the senior elections officers were obstructed from carrying out their duties. On the first day after submitting nominations, we can see gatherings taking place within the first 8 hours. Election laws have been flouted on the very first day itself. After facts were presented to court, the names of 3 persons were mentioned. We have been informed to arrest them and produce them before court before the 26th.
Views were also expressed in this regard at the press conference convened by the United People's Freedom Alliance today.
A large group will be competing at this election. There may be an occasion on which they fail to control their supporters. That is not a good thing. However, if such an incident had taken place, as a party we do not approve of it. We have issued clear instructions calling on our politicians not to be involved in such incidents.
Area residents continue to suffer the impact of extreme weather conditions as the drought looms over several districts, including the North Central Province. Our area correspondent stated that finding drinking water has also become very difficult. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology forecasts thunder showers in the northern and eastern parts of the island during the latter part of the day.
Communities belonging to 7 district secretariat areas in the Polonnaruwa district have been severely inconvenienced owing to the drought. Area residents were seen enduring the excessive heat and standing on the roadsides as they wait for a water bowser which supplies drinking water. This is the manner in which residents from Madarigiriya, Dibulagala, Tamankaduwa, Balikanda, Hinguraggoda, Lankapura and Alahara await for the arrival of these bowsers. Around 178,390 individuals belonging to 53,511 families are affected by the drought. Dry lands which were once lakes bear testament to the extreme weather that has impacted the lives of many in the area. Our cameras captured the manner in which Madarigiriya, Meegaswava and Ramba tanks were left bare. Water bowsers which supply water twice a week have proven to be insufficient for these villages.
We used to grow vegetables, but now we do not have the capacity to do so. No one has come forward to provide us with any relief.
Meanwhile, area residents from the Salyapura 307, Tulana, Kudakumbugolava, Siambalava, Panyankadavala, Puasankulama villages are left destitute owing to the drought.
අපිට සෙල්ලම් කරලා ඇඟෝ දාන්න වතුර නැහැ. අපි බොන්න ඈත යනවා. අපි නාන්න ඈත යනවා. මේ පැත්තට හරියට පෑවිල්ල.
It is very hot. We request to at least send us a bowser of water.
ලබා දෙන්න කියලා කියන්නේ. සතියකට දෙවතාවක් හරි.
Please send us water at least twice a week.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Special Projects and the Ministry of Economic Development have taken measures to create 1,300 ground wells for communities that are affected by the drought in the North Central Province. This project commenced in the Anuradhapura, Mahabulankulama, Pahalagama area and the Anuradhapura and Mahavilache areas.
Well, next up is our special segment, Battle for Uva.
This government has been ripping off the people. By the end of the year, we will be hammering the final nail in their coffin. We see the final days of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, a party that was created through the dedication of the Bandar Nayakas. This will be reaffirmed through the Uva polls.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has never attempted to spread disharmony and conflict amongst communities. We should not be considered as a government or party that does that. This is the truth. Some people do not speak out.
We gathered
everyone and prepared for one journey. Various allegations were leveled when undertaking this journey. We have developed a massive road system in our electorate. All the roads that fall across our electorate have been carpeted. Some are being carpeted.
The JVP has been given the opportunity to engage in politics and criticize as they please. The law was buried back then, not today.
They are enjoying, but the burden falls on those who cast their ballot.
The indigenous community in Sri Lanka says that the rules and regulations as well as the behavior of authorities have had an adverse effect on their lifestyles. Uriwarge Wanilattu says that their traditional way of life is now fading away.
Just as normal communal life is subject to change, the traditional way of life of the indigenous community of Sri Lanka too is now at risk. The reason for this is that time restrictions have been imposed on them when entering the forests. The children cannot break a beehive. Times have changed.
If we are conserving these lands, we should do so for our children. They will only get used to it by wandering around and familiarizing themselves with the smells and feel of the forest. This freedom has not been granted to us.
As a result of the time restrictions being imposed when entering the forests, the centre where the indigenous community gathers its medicinal herbs has also fallen victim to the wilderness. The indigenous community says that they have been deprived of the opportunity to gather herbs freely.
You need not separate us as the indigenous community. If we respect the law of the country and abide by it, there is no issue.
Construction work on Sri Lanka's first ever weekly public fair building complex is underway at the Ambili New Town.
A sum of 150 million rupees has been allocated for the project by the Ministry of Economic Development.
The weekly fair project has been implemented in a 2-acre plot of land that comes under the purview of the Ambili Urban Council and will comprise of 64 shops. Planning Officer of the Urban Development Authority HKD Manohari said that the weekly fair is also a multifunctional setting which could also be reserved for other public events such as conferences. Another unique feature at the weekly public fair is that a site plan also sees the construction of access ways for the physically challenged. The project is supervised by the Urban Development Authority and is constructed using the labour of the Sri Lanka Army personnel and will be open to the public in the near future.
Conveners of the Lawyers Collective, reacting to the statement issued by the Ministry of External Affairs on the incidents that transpired when a group stormed a meeting of an NGO in Colombo, calls on the public not to be misled by the inaccurate contents of the External Affairs Ministry's statement.
The release was issued by attorneys at law Lal Vijayanayaka, Chandrapal Kumarage and J.C. Valiamuna.
The Lawyers Collective notes that by justifying the violent intruders who stormed the meeting, the Ministry of External Affairs has confirmed that the mob had direct links to the government. The Lawyers Collective states that the mob had threatened the organizers to stop the meeting, adding that tensions arose due to the illegal invasion of a private property and a private meeting by the unruly mob. The collective notes that the Ministry of External Affairs, through its statement, failed to explain why law enforcement authorities failed to enforce the law and why the police refused protection to victims while demanding the cancellation of the meeting. The release also notes that the statement by the MEA is a continuation of whitewashing of the disruption of peaceful meetings in the country in violation of freedom of association. The conveners of the Lawyers Collective also notes that intolerance of dissent and cultivation of extremism on the part of the government that has created the mistrust among communities in Sri Lanka, and that the MEA was merely using the presence of diplomats as a scapegoat. On the 5th of August, the Ministry of External Affairs issued a statement noting that certain sections of the diplomatic corps appears to be involved in a manner lacking in objectivity in events organized for a particular region and community.
The 13th annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka Business Council was held in Colombo yesterday.
The council, which functions with the objectives of trade, investment, services and tourism between Sri Lanka and China, was initiated in the year 2001. The chief guest at the event was Wu Jianghao, the ambassador of the People's Republic of China. Speaking at the occasion, the ambassador praised the council for its work and stated that the work done by the council creates a good opportunity for close bilateral ties between the two nations.
From China's total imports, close to 42% is from developed Asian countries. If Sri Lanka is to make maximum use of the Maritime Silk Route Agreement, as exporters, we need to change our mindset and need to focus on the new and emerging Chinese consumer, their requirements and behavioral patterns, instead of focusing on the traditional export sectors we as a nation have been exporting over the years. What is required for Sri Lankan companies is to visit China, identify required products for the Chinese market, produce a similar product in Sri Lanka with the same or better quality. In other words, dear friends, we need to broaden our horizons, be more strategic and focused.
A new organization named the Palamu Peramuna was formed yesterday as an initiative to prevent the threats being made against democracy. Speaking to the media at its inaugural press briefing, the organization highlighted that its objective was to create awareness among all levels of society, beginning with the voters.
The press conference was held at the National Library and Documentation Services Board, and the media was briefed on the political dialogue that is scheduled to take place on the 15th.
An environment has been created in the country where any political campaign, be it the Frontline Socialist or the JVP, cannot operate in politics. We need to stop the process of dismantling democracy.
මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ අකුලගෙන යන ක්‍රියාවලිය නවත්තන්න ඕනේ. මොන්ටිසෝරි යන දරුවගේ ඉඳලා වැඩිමහලු කුජලය දක්වා.
Everyone from the kindergarten child to the elderly are in an unsafe environment. Rather than achieving new things, we are losing what we already achieved. We need to rally together as a community to save the nation from this situation.
ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීම සඳහා පෙළ ගැහෙන්න ඕනකම තියෙනවා. උතුරේ තියෙන ප්‍රධානම ගැටලුව වෙන මොකක්වත් නෙමෙයි.
The main issue in the north is the politicians of the south. They do not listen to the northern politicians. They do not want to engage with them. They do not wish to even be on the same stage as them. Why? They are afraid that they will lose the votes of the southern Sinhala Buddhists.
The voters need to understand that casting a ballot does not end with marking your cross on the ballot paper. The proper persons need to be vested with the power. The Palamu Peramuna is taking steps to create awareness in this regard.
2014 advanced level students have already sat for the economics examination. On several instances since May this year, Action TV highlighted issues pertaining to the compiling of the economics question paper raised by university lecturers. Action TV was in receipt of a letter dated 12th May 2014, drafted by 10 professors and a group of lecturers. The letter calls on the examinations commissioner to appoint a qualified panel to compile the advanced level economics question paper. On the 5th of June, the Minister of Education, exercising his parliamentary privileges, gave reasons on why he was not appointing the former head of the economics question paper panel and made a startling revelation, and that was revealing the name of the head of the panel in question. The following were the sentiments expressed by the examinations commissioner on this revelation.
The identities of individuals who compile question papers should remain a secret. Speaking about it goes against the Examinations Act. This is not what had happened. 2 individuals were removed. One was said to be too old. The other individual had written books and published articles. Is this the recognition they get for working for the examinations department? People may have been removed for various reasons, but I have never made these reasons public.
The university lecturers, without giving out the name of the new head of the panel, questioned his credentials. The economics question paper, which was compiled under the watchful eyes of the new head of the panel of examiners, is now a public document.
We have professors on our panel who might have examined the advanced level economics question paper of the new professor who was appointed to this position. Why was such a person appointed to this position? There are errors in the allocation of marks for the 2 exam papers. There are clear errors in 5 questions of the MCQ paper, which has 50 questions. There are also issues in several sub-questions in the second paper.
A paper riddled with errors. More details on Action TV tomorrow.
Mayor of the Hambantota Municipal Council, Iraj Ravindra Fernando, has called on the government to downgrade the Hambantota Municipal Council to an urban council as the aspirations of the people have not been met.
Now, during the municipal council meeting held today, he pointed out that the necessary facilities are not being provided to carry out the activities of the municipal council.
The mayor of Hambantota was to put forward a special proposal to downgrade the municipal council to an urban council. However, he noted that it will be presented as a special statement and not a proposal. Although 7 Grama Seva divisions come under the purview of the Hambantota Municipal Council, the municipal council functions through the taxes paid by the residents and business community living in 2 Grama Seva divisions that came under the purview of the urban council. This municipal council was established in 2011 on April Fool's Day. At present, the municipal council is in a very difficult situation with regards to the administration and the financial activities.
Everyone knows that Hambantota has developed rapidly. Infrastructure facilities were improved in the area. Some people might not be able to bear this development. Facilities and buildings were also provided to the municipal council.
We have been forced to maintain this municipal council with the taxes paid by the people of the old town. Although compensation was paid for the private lands that were reclaimed, compensation has not been paid for the council's lands that were reclaimed. When lands were taken over for the second phase of the harbour, we called on officials to increase the estimated value of the lands by 10%. However, now they are saying that they are only prepared to give around 50,000 rupees.
I have instructed the Hambantota District Assistant Commissioner of Local Government and the Southern Province Local Government Commissioner to engage in discussions with the Mayor and the Urban Commissioner and inform us about their necessities. I will directly intervene in this issue, and as the Southern Provincial Council, we will provide the assistance necessary.
මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට දකුණු පළාත් සභාව හැටියට අපට ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් සහයෝගය අපි ඉදිරියේදී ලබා දෙනවා.
You're watching Prime Time News live here on Newsfirst. Well, Newsfirst.lk received 2 awards at a gala event in Colombo today, organized to choose the best Sri Lankan website for the year 2014.
Newsfirst.lk bagged 2 awards at the 2014 Best Sri Lankan Website Competition.
The Silver Award
www.lk.
www.newsfirst.lk of MTV Channel Private Limited.
Newsfirst.lk won the Silver Award for the Best Media Website and the Bronze for the Best Tamil Website. The award ceremony was held in Colombo this evening. This is incidentally the second time in which Newsfirst.lk bagged the Silver Award.
The winner of the Gold Award, the Best Media Website category.
Still in local news, the kitchen of the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital was inspected today by officers of the Public Health Department of the Colombo Municipal Council.
It is of utmost importance that the meals given to the patients of the hospital are safe and healthy. Due to this reason, the officers of the Public Health Department of the Colombo Municipal Council are inspecting the cafeterias of the hospitals in the city of Colombo.
The public health officers attached to the Public Health Department and the Boralla Medical Officer of Health, who inspected the cafeteria and kitchen of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital, issued warnings to those maintaining them.
අපිට කුස්සිය නිලධාරීන්ට දොස් කියන්න බෑ මොකද මේ මිනිසුන්ට ලැබෙන ඒවා තමයි මිනිස්සු දෙන්නේ බඩුවම් පින්න ටිකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ හරියට දිනු වෙන සමාජ සමගම මේ රෝහල් පරිසරය සහ සියලුම
I think with the development of the society and the development of the hospital complex and its surroundings, the tools and the mechanisms used in cafeterias should also modernize. Steps will be taken to inform the director of the hospital and the public health inspectors.
අධ්‍යක්ෂකතුමා සහ රෝහල් මහජන සෞඛ්‍ය පරීක්ෂකවරුන් දැනුවත් කිරීමට අප කටයුතු කරනු ලබනවා.
But the status of these units, of course, I am not satisfactory as the director. So we have received 10 million rupees from Ministry of Health Services to improve the quality and the quality of the services of these places.
Welcome back to the news. Well, in more local news, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress will contest for the Badula district at the Uva Provincial Council as part of an alliance.
Thereby, the SLMC joined hands with 2 other parties and formed a united democratic alliance and submitted nominations for the Badula district.
The United Democratic Alliance comprises of the All-Island Muslim Congress led by Minister Rishad Badiuddin, the Upcountry Muslim Congress and the SLMC. The alliance will contest under the symbol of 2 leaves.
The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress under my leadership, the All Ceylon Muslim Congress under the leadership of Minister Rishad Badiuddin and the UCMC, parties that represent the Muslim community, have joined forces for the first time and will contest for the Badula district. We expect a good election.
මේ මැතිවරණයේදී තියුණු උණුසුම් තරංගයක් ඇති වේවි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Parliamentarian J. Sri Ranga predicted on the Mineral program telecast several months ago that the All-Island Muslim Congress led by Minister Rishad Badiuddin would join forces with the SLMC to contest for the election.
The Uva provincial election will be held in the near future. The government is in a position where they can no longer secure the votes of the Muslim community. The government will allow the SLMC and Minister Rishad Badiuddin contest on their own and secure these votes. The government is now engaged in an attempt to unite the SLMC and Minister Badiuddin's party and make them contest under an alliance. The government is engaging in these actions because they know that they would not receive the votes of the Tamil and Muslim community. After the Uva election was announced, the government realized that they would not be able to secure the votes of the Muslim community and have urged the Muslim parties to contest separately. Over the past 3 months, we have been predicting on Minnal that the Muslim parties of the government would unite and contest for the election. On numerous occasions, we stated that after winning the Muslim votes, these parties would rejoin the government.
முஸ்லிம் வாக்குகளை பிரிப்பதற்கு அரசாங்கம் சூழ்ச்சி செய்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. 6 மாதத்துக்கு முன்பே
We stated 6 months ago that the Muslim ministers in the government would contest separately to secure these votes.
Taking a look at some of the latest developments coming from the Israel-Gaza conflict. Israel says it is willing to extend a ceasefire that ended a month of fighting in Gaza beyond a Friday deadline, but Hamas has denied that a new deal has been reached.
The Israeli official quoted by the Reuters news agency said Israel has expressed its readiness to extend the truce under its current terms, referring to the 72-hour deal brokered by Egypt that took effect on Tuesday.
But Hamas deputy leader Musa Mohammed Abu Marzouk, part of the Palestinian delegation holding talks in Cairo, denied that there was yet any agreement for an extension.
Newsfirst Shahin Jurangpati filed this report.
Israeli forces were deployed near the Gaza border as a 72-hour truce held through its third day. Israel said it was ready to extend the deal as Egyptian mediators pursued talks with Israelis and Palestinians on an enduring end to a conflict that devastated the Hamas-ruled enclave. The Egyptian mediated 72-hour ceasefire that went into effect on Tuesday has brought relief to both sides after fighting that erupted on the 8th of July killed nearly 1,900 Palestinians and 67 people on the Israeli side. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israelis living along the border with the Gaza Strip were safer than they were before the start of a month-long war that has devastated the Islamist Hamas-dominated enclave.
We are prepared for anything if this ceasefire is violated. The Israeli army is deployed in the field in buffered numbers to provide an answer in the event of any scenario. In any event, around the Gaza border area, forces will remain that were not there before the campaign, and that it is in order to provide better security to residents of the region.
A positive Israeli Prime Minister. One looks at the month-long conflict in Gaza. The cost of the fighting still echoes the walls of the devastated city. And 11-year-old Yasmin al-Bakri bears testament to this.
بعد هيك ما بستفيق إلا بلاقي حالي بالمستشفى بسأل أمتي وماما ومن إخواتي ليه بتقول صار هيك ماما راحت على الجنة هي وأخواتي الاثنين.
Yasmin survived, but figures issued yesterday by UNICEF, the UN Children's Agency, showed that 419 Palestinian children have been killed in the nearly month-long Gaza war. Shahin Jurangpati, Newsfirst.
Still in news overseas, US President Barack Obama has said it is premature to send an experimental medicine for the treatment of Ebola to West Africa as Liberia declared a state of emergency amid an outbreak that shows no signs of slowing.
Obama said that he lacked enough information to greenlight a promising medicine called ZMapp that was already used on 2 American aid workers who saw their conditions improve by varying degrees.
I don't think all the information's in on whether this drug is helpful. What we do know is that the Ebola virus, both currently and in the past, is controllable if you have a strong public health infrastructure in place. And the countries that have been affected are the first to admit that what's happened here is that their public health systems have been overwhelmed. They weren't able to identify and then isolate cases quickly enough.
3 ambulances, one of them carrying a Spanish priest infected with Ebola and repatriated from Liberia, left the Air Force Base in Madrid en route to Carlos III Hospital, where he will be treated for the Ebola virus. 75-year-old Miguel Pajares had been working as a missionary in Liberia when he tested positive for Ebola at a hospital in Monrovia. A nun who is a Spanish national from Equatorial Guinea, Julian Bohi, will also be repatriated. She has not tested positive for the virus but has been exposed to Ebola. Ebola, one of the deadliest diseases known to humans, has killed nearly 900 people in West Africa since February and is still spreading fast. There is no known cure and no vaccine to protect against the disease.
We're moving on to news from the world of sports, and it's cricket from here at home. Spinner Dilruwan Perera claimed his third 5-wicket haul today as Pakistan were bowled out for a first innings score of 451 runs on day 2 of the first test against Sri Lanka. The game is being worked off at the Galle International Cricket Stadium.
Pakistan picked up from where they left off on day 1 with an overnight score of 261 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. Asad Safiq was the first to fall today for 75 runs. Yunus Khan was then sent back to the pavilion for 177 runs. Shafraz Ahmed hammered a knock of 55 before being dismissed by Dilruwan Perera. Pakistan were eventually bowled out for 451 runs. Dilruwan Perera was the pick of the bowlers with 5 wickets. Batting first in the innings, Sri Lanka lost Upul Tharang early on. However, Kaushal Silva and Kumar Sangakkara steered the home side to 99 for the loss of 1 wicket at close of play on day 2.
Well, we leave you tonight with some footage that will send jitters down your spine. Now, Ravi, this amateur camera on the set of an unknown film being shot in China captured the terrifying moment the action scene turned into a disaster.
That's right, Mahina, because we have some spine-tingling footage of a stunt being filmed for a movie that went horribly wrong and sent dozens of crew diving for safety as a speeding car hurtled towards them.